All right, Joe, this is your Cobra 29 LTD Chrome AM, FM with the RFX95 added to it. All of the mods done by RC. So she's all modded up here. Being the AM, FM version, obviously it doesn't have the VFO wind up, but on your channel 9 switch here, this is going to turn your amp off and on, the RFX95. So in the up position, it's on. Down position, it's off. And we're going to take some time and go through it here and show you the output with it on and off. Now, the output with it off is going to be a little bit lower than what you're used to seeing out of one of these because it is set up to run with RFX95. You don't want to overdrive the RFX95 that's on the back, so you have to, adjust the radio accordingly. Variable power or dead key is going to be right here on the RF gain. It does have the receive mods done to it too. You notice the receive is super quiet, but it does function well if you're concerned about that. There's your nice signal there, just a dummy load to dummy load. A lot of people are thrown off with the quiet receive after it's widened out. Some people get the idea that the receive's not functioning as well because you don't get a lot of static in there. But that's just a side effect of when you widen out the receive. You might lose very little signal strength on someone. It's not like people start putting half the signal on. You do lose just a little bit with the receive not being as narrow. Talkback, talkback on these radios, it is what it is. They don't have the greatest talkback. It's kind of there. That's about it. Not going to be getting the quality talkback like you do with a Striker or a Ranger or something. Audio 1 2, audio 1 2, audio check 1 2 3, audio 1 2, audio. It's kind of just existent, and that's how it is on all these Cobra Chromes. They don't have the greatest talkback in the world. So first things first, what we'll do, we'll just run with the amp off, and what I'm going to do is watch the needle over to the left. We're just making sure we don't get any kind of feedbacks or anything. Because there are times with these RFX95s or any amp board that you add to a radio, you run the risk of getting, some abnormal stuff going on. And sometimes you have to spend a little extra time. That's why this one took a little bit longer than expected. Just want to troubleshoot it. Make sure we didn't have any extracurricular noises or anything coming, so. You get the squeal in the background. Once we go too low with the carrier, it comes pretty prone to get you a feedback, but no hums, no buzzes, no anything like that on the Barefoot side, so that's great. What we'll do, we'll just turn the RF power. Remember, this is RF power, not RF gain. We're going to turn it wide open, and we have the amp section off. So we're going to come over here to our 50-watt slug. We're going to be looking at the middle scale. So our dead key will go up to 5 watts with the radio wide open. Hello, and swing to about 7. Now we're just going to turn it halfway. That's about a 2.5 watt dead key. And then all the way down. Oh, swings to about 5.5 average. PEP. Check, audio, 1 2 3, audio, 1 2 3. About 25 or so. And again, this is on a Bird 43P, so you hook it up to a different meter, there's no guarantee what it's going to do. Hell, you hook it up to a Dosey that's real tight, brand new out of the box, it may show 15 watts. But on the Bird, 25 to 30 PEP, this is halfway. Audio, PEP really doesn't change. If you audio into it, getting a little bit less than 30. Talking into it around 25. So that's what she does with the amp section off. And now we're going to go through the exact same test with the amp section on. Now this is the RFX95 now being engaged, I guess I should say. And we're going to take out our 50-watt slug and put in a 100. Now also keep in mind for this video, guys, not included with the radio. is this heavy duty power cord that I sell. These things are making a big difference on radios, high power radios. They make a difference on any radio because you don't lose any voltage coming to the radio really. So um, I'm going to start trying to use this in all the videos to encourage people to get these. No, it's not a sales pitch or a gimmick. I've done a video with this power cord on a Striker 955, and the difference it made was pretty huge. There's a testimony from a customer that bought one, the difference it made in his radio. So it's not smoke and mirrors. The cords actually work, and this is another radio that they make a pretty significant difference in. Just from my experience, gained about 5 watts average with this cord, and about 15 to 20 watts PEP. So they make a difference. Okay, so now we've got the RFX95 turned on, and we're just going to turn our RF power wide open. Do I recommend running the RF power wide open on this? Probably not. There's really no radio out there that you should have to run the RF power wide open on. But just for the sake of testing the video, testing the radio, see how much it'll go up to, that's what we're doing. So the bottom scale, you can see that gives us about 25 to 30 watt dead key, and we'll just modulate it, see what it does average. Oh, audio, a little bit over 40 average. Now what does that equate to over here? 14.8 volts. Oh, audio, almost 8 amps is what it's drawing there. So get that back to focus. Let's go to PEP and check the peak output power. Audio over 100. So we're not going to go to the next slug up. I mean, obviously it's doing over 100 watts. That's the main thing we wanted to check. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to roll the carrier back as I'm keyed up and show you the range that this thing will key with it wide open, with the amp section on. So that's about 2 o'clock. Hello, audio. Still swinging that 40 average. 10 watts. That's about 1 o'clock. And then bottoms out. Audio. Hello. You lose a little bit of swing when you turn it all the way down. RFX95, not even warm. Let's turn it back up to about 10 o'clock, see what it swings. Oh, let's see. Around 12 is when your carrier really starts picking up. Oh, audio. And then you get that average power to go full capacity. Now, why does the average power go down when you turn the RF, when you turn the carrier all the way down? Well, you guys saw before we even had the amp section on, there was a difference, in average power. When we got to right here forward, it would swing about 7 watts average. And when you start getting back here, it backs down to, 5 or 6. So in hand, that's going to make the RFX95 do a little bit less power. Now, one more test is we want to make sure that we're not getting any kind of, again, extracurricular noises when we turn the amp section on. We've already tested it with the amp section off. So now we're just going to leave it turned up and on. And we're just going to turn our Cobra 90 on over here in the background. Now, if we get a little squeal, like a talkback squeal, that's going to be normal. What we're looking for is any kind of feedbacks. There's a difference, like a ground squeal, a ground hum, a buzz, or anything like that. That's the kind of stuff we want to avoid. So I'm just going to key it up here. That's normal. That's like a talkback squeal. That's the carrier wide open. That's at 1 o'clock. I'm not picking anything up on the meter. 12 o'clock. Again, that's like a talkback squeal. That's kind of normal. We're not hearing any kind of boom or any kind of high pitch. Turn my mic gain down. Any kind of high pitch feedbacks. And then that's all the way down. Hello, you can tell. Audio. I wouldn't recommend running the carrier that low. It's going to get pretty choppy when you run it that low. you know, dead keying nothing and swinging 100 watts. But usually where they start running the best at is kind of right through here, 12 o'clock or so. Again, 12 o'clock, because of the way the radio's set up, you're only running like a 2-watt dead key at 12 o'clock from the radio side. So, good running radio. Again, we could test it with the talkback on. Show you it's not picking up any kind of noise. Turn talkback wide open here. That's always the main concern when you're adding these amp sections. I think I mentioned that before, is they can be prone to get some RF and some noises in them. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Need to do some extra ground on them and rearrange some wires. But this one's A-okay now. So a little bit of a long video, guys. Just want to make sure everything's good before it goes out to customer. Better safe than sorry. This one went over a couple of days on the estimated time frame. So basically what I did for the customer on this, he bought the radio up front, and I told him he wouldn't be billed for the RFX95 and the install until it was done. Estimated time on it was 10 to 14 days, and I think we're on day 15 or 16. So went over just a little bit, but that's because ran into some issues, and RC had to spend some long nights trying to resolve what was going on with it. Had to reroute some wires and do some grounding stuff on it. So again, it's better to spend. I'd rather spend a couple of extra days and go over the time limit on something than hurry up and ship it out to the customer and have him ship it back. So hopefully he feels the same way. Hopefully anybody with any kind of sense would feel the same way. There's no point in meeting a deadline if the radio's not right. So we want to make sure everything is right before it leaves here. It's been tested on RC's bench. It's been tested here, and it seems to be working fine. Again, 14.8 volts. It's drawing about 8 amps with the amp section on. Receiving good. Variable power is working good. Everything seems fully functional on it. No kind of crazy noises. Great output out of it. And again, I highly encourage people, especially if you're running these radios that do anywhere from 80, 60, 70, 80, 100 watts or more, think about getting one of these power cords. Even if you don't buy one from me, you can get the 8-gauge wire and make your own. Okay, you don't have to buy one of these from me. It's just a service that's offered for people that don't want to fool with it or don't have time to fool with it. But again, you can definitely make one of these cheaper than what you can buy one from me. But if you don't want to mess with making one, I have them up for sale. So that's it, guys. Rooster in Tennessee, roostercb.com. Questions, comments, shoot me a text, 423-299-3535. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Anybody else that wants one of these, in the future, same deal. I don't typically keep these done up with the RFX95. But if you want one, pay for the radio up front. You don't have to pay me for the service done to it until it's actually done and before it ships. So I figure that's a fair way to do business. That way nobody's got their money tied up for extensive periods of time. And we're not going to make somebody wait 12 to 16 weeks to get a radio. Can't have it to you in a couple, 2 or 3 weeks, then we need to get in a different business. So Cobra 29 LTD Chrome with the RFX95 on the back. Everybody have a good one out there. Rooster in Tennessee. See you, bye.